Stop. Pay attention. We're about to test your common sense. Take a look at the drawing on your screen. We've got a question for you. If this bus started driving forward, which direction would it move? Left or right? Not so obvious, is it? While you're struggling with this, would it surprise you to know that nearly 80% of children under the age of 10 can answer this question instantly? So, why is it so difficult? Stick around. This is a show about your brain and all the things you don't know.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is.
For the next half hour, we're going to put you through a series of tests and experiments designed to show how surprisingly little your brain understands about how the world works. You'll be shocked,
Oh my God.
shaken, left wondering, how'd I miss that?
Wow.
But if you play along, we guarantee you'll leave smarter and wiser than you were before.
I'll see you guys later.
So say hello to what you don't know on Brain Games. Most of us navigate our daily lives with relative ease. You drive your car, cook your food, use your computers, and talk on the phone like you were born to do it. But have you ever stopped to think about the things you don't know? And we're not just talking about what you did or didn't learn in the classroom. We're asking some college students the same question.
We come to school and we learn history and math and science, but all too often we fail to learn how the world really works. Think about the things that we take for granted, the ubiquitous things we use in our everyday lives, like cell phones, or even a zipper. As simple as a zipper looks, do you actually understand how it works?
Stop for a second. Why don't you take a minute to think about it? You likely use a zipper every single day. But how does a zipper actually work? How does this simple device interlock two sets of teeth that you otherwise can't connect by hand? Harder to explain than you thought? We'll explain it in just a bit.
I mean, it's okay if you don't understand it. You don't actually need to fully understand a zipper to prevent a wardrobe malfunction like my friend over here. The truth is, we don't know how much we don't know.
So let's go back to this bus. Have you figured out yet which direction it would move if it started driving forward? The answer is to the left. But why?
I told you before that most kids under the age of 10 could get this right. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. Which way is this bus going?
That way.
Why do you think that this is the front?
Because the door is on the other side. This way. That way.
The door is on the other side of the bus, so the driver can let the passengers off at the curb. Kids know this better than anyone.
But how do you know?
Because we're smart.
Yeah, you are smart.
Science writer Shankar Vedantam reports on the many processes that happen completely outside our conscious awareness.
So why is the bus question difficult for most adults and easy for children? Well, for one thing, it's a lot harder for an adult to see this simple drawing as a fully functioning bus. To a child, this is how a bus looks. But before you get too hung up on it, think about the bigger picture. This happens to us all the time in everyday life. We constantly come across problems we can't solve, and if we were honest with ourselves, we'd admit it. Psychologists have a term for this: the illusion of knowledge. Whether it's the bus question or how a zipper works, your brain is wired to try and provide an answer. It's a basic survival mechanism to make you feel more in control. After all, nobody likes to walk around feeling lost and clueless, especially about things we think we should know.
The best way to see just how your brain fills in the blanks for you is to challenge it to get detailed about how a specific object works. Take a bike, for example. I'm setting up this next experiment, created by psychologist Rebecca Lawson, to see if our college students can do this very simple test.
So I have an assignment for you guys today. It's called Draw a Bike. You guys have all ridden bicycles before, right? You know what a bicycle looks like. It's got two wheels, etc. Yeah? Who knows what a bicycle looks like? All right, good.
Sounds easy, right?
Okay.
Well, let's see how you would do. Stop. Pay attention. Take a look at these 4 drawings of bicycles. Only one of them could actually work, but it's up to you to decide which one it is. Have you made your choice? Remember your answer while we see how these students did. It turns out that over 90% of our participants drew totally unrealistic bicycles. How can it be so hard for smart people to draw a simple bike?
So we've actually created these bikes here that reflect the most common mistakes that people make when they draw bicycles. You'll be happy to know that a lot of you guys match these perfectly.
Let's see if you can spot which bike is actually functional.
The first one is this white bike over here. All right, so, Anne, tell me, here's your drawing. What's wrong with your drawing? What's wrong with this bike?
I have an extra bar there.
Which does what?
You can't steer the bike.
You can't steer the bike. So your prize is riding this mistake all the way down this campus.
Oh!
Come on. Okay, you don't have to do it anymore. Stop, stop, stop.
I was pretty confident that I'd be able to draw a bicycle, but clearly I didn't do so well.
Anne's bike looked like this. Option A. Is this the bike you picked? If so, you'd have a problem too.
Moving on.
Oh, no.
Lauren, can you tell me what your mistake was?
Well, it looks like it's backwards.
Yes. Are you surprised that you sort of messed this up?
I am. I'm
in
really
such a way?
surprised because my brain went, I know how to draw a bike.
Right.
I even added a bell on my
Right.
picture.
There you go. Would you like to see her ride this bike? Yeah.
No, it's totally not working. I was so confident in my bicycle, I didn't even realize that it was backwards.
Lauren's bike looked like this. Option B. If you picked this one, then you'd be out of luck. So now we're down to 2 bikes. Dalton's bike looked like option C. Did you pick that one? That's incorrect too. It doesn't even have a place for pedals.
That's beautiful.
But if you picked option D, like Wesley's bike, then congratulations. You've been paying attention to your bicycle.
You have drawn a perfect bike.
What? I was like, what did I do wrong?
Oh, yes.
It's working.
Yes.
I'll see you guys later.
You know, our mental models of the world are not always as accurate as we think they are. But our brain doesn't like to feel unsure of itself, so it overcompensates and it makes you feel more confident than perhaps you should be in many instances.
You've seen how hard it is for most people to draw a bike, and probably how difficult it is for you to explain exactly how a zipper works, right? So how does a zipper work? The slide that you pull on connects 2 sets of teeth that are specifically designed like hooks to interlock together at an angle when you pull the slide one way and disconnect when you pull the other way. Simple, right?
Even though you likely don't know how most things work, your brain believes it does. Your brain would rather pretend to know something than to admit it doesn't, in order to maintain this illusion that it knows all about the world.
This illusion of knowledge brings about a false sense of security in what you think you know, and also leads your brain to become overconfident in decisions you make every day.
Don't believe your brain is overconfident? Deception specialist Apollo Robbins is hitting the streets with a game designed to prove you wrong.
I want to play a game with you real quick.
Apollo is going to ask people on the street some trivia questions, and you can play along at home. You don't have to know the exact answer to each of the questions, but just give a range that you're completely confident encompasses the answer. For instance, if I ask you how many continents there are, and you're not sure of the answer, but you think it's around 7, all you have to do is come up with a range of numbers that you're confident includes the right answer, like 4 to 12. Got it?
Okay.
Okay.
Ready for the first one? I guarantee it's harder than you think. This is the Bible. How many books make up the Old Testament? Remember, all you have to do is pick a range. Are you feeling pretty confident in your answer? Because we're pretty confident you just got it wrong.
The number of books in the Old Testament. It's a range.
Oh, 10.
So we're going to say 10 books in the Old Testament. And the high number there could possibly be?
15.
15.
7.
7, okay. And how high would you go?
25.
What do you think? Do you have your range? The answer is 39.
It's actually 39 books in the Old Testament.
All you had to do was give a range that could, without a doubt, include that number. Not so easy, is it? Let's try another. How many countries are in Africa?
The number of countries in Africa?
17.
17. What's your high answer?
30.
30.
Yes.
Okay.
0.
And high?
I'll say 24.
Do you have your answer? Are you confident the correct answer fits within your range? The answer is 57. So how'd you do? Better this time?
Oh, sorry, you missed on that one.
Getting killed.
What exactly does this game have to do with overconfidence? Think about it. You likely had no idea for certain how many countries were in Africa.
So why would you limit the range you gave? Even a little bit.
Almost all of our participants gave extremely small ranges, even though they didn't have a clue. Now are you catching on? You don't need to know the answers to any of these.
Length of the Mississippi River in miles. What would you say the low is?
1.
1? Okay, I think you got part of the system down. High?
3,000.
And submit. Bingo, you got one right. See?
Yeah, I'm getting
You
this
see what the
game.
system is?
Yeah.
You just need to give a big enough range. If any of these answers fell outside your ranges, that means that like 79% of our participants, you suffer from overconfidence.
So what's the reason for such a high level of overconfidence? One possible explanation for what we call the overconfidence effect is that there's a constantly raging battle inside your brain. One way your brain can resolve this battle is to hide the fact that you're incompetent.
Take this next game, for example. Stop. Pay attention. You are about to be tested.
All I need you to do is indulge me with a little bit of light reading. I need you to read this sign out loud. Right now. Go ahead, I'll wait. You got it? All right, now we're gonna see if these people agree with you.
New York in the spring?
Okay. Nothing out of the ordinary from that sentence at all?
New York in the spring.
New York in the spring.
Nice job, guys.
So, are we all in agreement that the sign says New York in the spring? Read it aloud one more time. If you think that's what it says, then you're like almost everyone else we surveyed. Incorrect. Some of you might be on to us, but I bet the rest of you are still wondering what we're talking about.
Do you want to take a second look, a little closer?
Sure.
Look at every single word in the sentence.
Okay.
Read it out loud.
New York in the spring.
New York in the spring. In the spring.
One more time.
New York in the spring.
It's amazing.
Would you believe if I told you something doesn't belong here? Like, say, an extra word. New York in the spring.
So what if I was to tell you that there's a word in the sentence that repeats?
New York in the spring. Wow.
New York in the spring.
New York in the spring.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I didn't see that.
Right. You actually read it 10 times before we told you this. And if you no, you don't have to be embarrassed because it happens. This is the same for everybody.
It's because your eyes don't focus on every single word when you read. Instead, you sweep across the page, sampling small chunks of text, leaving it up to your brain to make sense of these chunks.
A simple task like reading shows what your brain takes in, or in the case of the missing the, how much it tosses out without you consciously noticing. In fact, your brain will try to provide you the least amount of information necessary to make sense of the world. What that means is that a lot of other information gets discarded.
As you've seen, your brain will often go to great lengths to come up with the right answer. You're about to be tested. Do your best to remember all the words on the train cars, and then I'll have a question for you. Ready? Go. All right, got it? Remember as many of those words as you can. Now a second train is about to come by. Which one of these 4 words was on the first train? Watch one more time. Okay, made your choice? Before we reveal the answer, let's see what these college students think.
Do you have a good memory?
I think so.
We'll see. Now, tell me if you can see any of the words that you think were on the first train.
Track.
You remember seeing the word track?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with track.
Track?
Track. Track. Track.
Do you agree with these students? Did you see the word track on both trains? If you did, you're like 80% of the people we tested. And you're wrong. But why is track the wrong answer? Let's take another look at the first train to see why. Remember, you're looking for the word track. Track wasn't written on any of the original 10 cars. Were you almost positive it was? In fact, none of the words on the second train match the ones on the first train. If you're thinking that's a cheap shot, it is, but we only did it to make a point. It's time we let the students in on the trick. So why did everyone think they saw a word that wasn't there?
Context, I guess. A lot of the words were very similar.
You've hit it exactly on the head. All of the words from the original list are train-related words. Only track is a train-related word. And so many people remember seeing the word track even though they didn't actually see it. Well, was it on the train?
No.
No.
People have such vivid memories of actually seeing a word that didn't actually exist. I mean, isn't that amazing?
Wow.
It makes me wonder what happens in everyday life. Are we sort of associating words and seeing things and remembering things that didn't actually exist? It's a disturbing thought, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Amazingly, your brain is not only able to erase a word from your awareness, but it's also able to add one without your knowledge. Rather than admit it doesn't know the answer, your brain remembered a word that wasn't even there. When you think about the implications this has on your everyday life, you realize that this is an astounding effect of the illusion of knowledge. Deception specialist Apollo Robbins knows a thing or two about the illusion of knowledge, and he'll show you how easy it is to think you know something when you don't.
Scientists often try to find the best way to measure human intelligence. Personally, I think the best place is in a barn. I find this fascinating because this game works on confidence. Not just confidence, but overconfidence. It's very simple. All you have to do first is breathe. So it starts very simply. It's 2 glasses, one face up. When you turn these, I want you to end up with all of these glasses face up. You get 3 turns. Turn over 2 at a time. Ready to play?
Yes.
1. Turn over the outside ones together. Perfect. Turn over these 2 together. Same time. Bingo. High five. Good job. Got it. I'm just going to refresh this for you. 1, 2, 3. Your turn. Go and hop in there. 1, 2. You see the error of your ways.
It's a perfect error.
Why don't you up closer here? We'll just try to see if we can do it. Here, let's have you do it. Go and step over here. And go for it. At the same time, there you go. Perfect. Got one more turn.
Gosh. And they have to...
we'll go face up.
Deal.
You did it again. That's 2 in a row. Great job. Your turn, sir. You figured out what you did? Okay, you give it a shot and see if you can do it.
We'll see.
You just took a little bit of confidence. Great job. Did you guys actually see how it worked? Do you know what happened? All right, so this is a little bit of a game. When you were playing, I was making it hard for you initially. This game works so you can do this at home. It uses 3 glasses, and when you start, you turn 2 of the ones upside down. When you try to follow this, a lot of people get overconfident, and they think that they see how it works.
When Apollo does the trick himself, the center glass is facing up. But for others, he positions it facing down.
This game takes advantage of your mind making 2 false assumptions. 1, you become overconfident that this game is simpler than it is. 2, that I'm actually going to give the glasses to you in the same orientation that I use them, that they forget the original positions.
And if you don't notice the positions, you'll never get it right.
The important thing is to remember the center glass.
As you're starting to see, there's a lot going on inside of your brain that you're not fully aware of. Your brain does its best to keep you out of the know when it comes to what you don't know, so that you continue running on air as long as possible. Apollo Robbins has one more trick up his sleeve, so watch out.
The point of this episode wasn't to make you feel dumb. It was to show you how your brain tends to be overconfident. Now, I'd like to show you a game that takes advantage of that. It's called Cha Cha La Femme, or Find the Lady. All you have to do is keep track of the queen. But in this case, there are 3 of them. 3 queens and an 8. 3 out of 4. Most people will be very confident with those odds. But remember, overconfidence can often leave you at a loss. But of course, that's just common sense.
Every week, Nat Geo asks top anglers.
Last episode of Brain Games starts straight after brand new Kingfishers, which is right now. There's no commercial break, so don't go anywhere.
New series next.
World really works. Think about the things that we take for granted, the ubiquitous things we use in our everyday lives, like cell phones, or even a zipper. As simple as a zipper looks, do you actually understand how it works?
Stop for a second. Why don't you take a minute to think about it? You likely use a zipper every single day. But how does a zipper actually work? How does this simple device interlock 2 sets of teeth that you otherwise can't connect by hand? Harder to explain than you thought? We'll explain it in just a bit.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is.
For the next half hour, we're going to put you through a series of tests and experiments designed to show how surprisingly little your brain understands about how the world works. You'll be shocked.
My God.
Shaken. Left wondering, how'd I miss that?
Wow.
But if you play along, we guarantee you'll leave smarter and wiser than you were before.
I'll see you guys later.
So say hello to what you don't know on Brain Games. Stop. Pay attention. We're about to test your common sense. Take a look at the drawing on your screen. We've got a question for you. If this bus started driving forward, which direction would it move? Left or right? Not so obvious, is it? While you're struggling with this, would it surprise you to know that nearly 80% of children under the age of 10 can answer this question instantly? So, why is it so difficult? Stick around. This is a show about your brain and all the things you don't know. Most of us navigate our daily lives with relative ease. You drive your car, cook your food, use your computers, and talk on the phone like you were born to do it. But have you ever stopped to think about the things you don't know? And we're not just talking about what you did or didn't learn in the classroom. We're asking some college students the same question.
We come to school and we learn history and math and science, but all too often we fail to learn how the world... I mean, it's okay if you don't understand it. You don't actually need to fully understand a zipper to prevent a wardrobe malfunction like my friend over here. The truth is, we don't know how much we don't know.
So let's go back to this bus. Have you figured out yet which direction it would move if it started driving forward? The answer is to the left. But why?
I told you before that most kids under the age of 10 could get this right. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. Which way is this?